Hi everyone, Meteorologist Emery here in the Fox 19 First Alert Streaming Center for our Thursday edition of 19 at noon. It is a first alert weather day because no, we're not seeing blue skies and clouds moving like that on any of our tower cameras, but we are certainly seeing snow moving into the tri-state. We'll first begin on looking at our Fox 19 tower camera here, and this is going to show us, well, we've got those snowflakes coming on down here as we head into this midday and early afternoon. And these snow showers coming at a good clip too. So we are looking at these wet snowflakes coming down. And these little showers that are developing here is a prelude to a bigger band of snow that's going to develop later on this afternoon and this evening. I'll be in the Fox 19 Toyota Storm Tracker tracking those all afternoon. And of course, I am going to be staying warm, and you should be too. So if you're going to be outside today, it's going to be a cold afternoon. Find some kind of warm gear. Keep yourself warm. I will say shout out to the Cincinnati Cyclones in their gift shop last year, and I went to a game. They had this beautiful, cozy toboggan hat, and I love it. Can't wear it right now, though. I'll mess up the hair. But anyway, we do have that first alert weather day because of these snow showers, and do note that the visibility out there is being reduced because of these snow showers. In addition, because of the fact that it is a gusty afternoon too, those winds, you might even notice the camera here. Yep, it's beginning to shake. You can see the Ohio River looking a little choppy. In fact, it looks like it's moving upstream. But no, it's just the reality of those winds coming out of the west-northwest. There it is. The camera shaking a bit more. And do note, again, in the distance here, this is just past Paycor Stadium and over towards Grand Rapids Ballpark. So this is just past it over towards the west end. You can see the visibility being reduced because of the winds and those snowflakes. So we are looking at kind of an active afternoon for any folks who are traveling here this afternoon and this evening. So we're going to take a look at radar and satellite real quick. We'll talk about the other band that's moving in later today here in just a moment. Do want to show you, though, this is what we're watching right now moving into Cincinnati. So this little activity here over towards western Hamilton County, we'll zoom into that now. And we'll go ahead and put this on pause. So this is moving kind of in a trajectory of southeast from the north and west. So that's why it's bringing in so much colder air with it. And let's see if we can get this, I would say it's probably moving at 30 miles per hour just based on what I'm seeing. Maybe a little bit, ooh, hit the wrong button. Let's do that again. So let's go ahead and kind of time this out for folks who are in and around downtown here over the next 30 minutes or so. So this might pick up a little bit speed, so it might be just a little bit ahead of this. But here in Cincinnati, we're beginning to see it now here the next 5 minutes or so, 5 to 10 minutes. Covedale seeing it here next couple of minutes. Covington in northern Kentucky is going to see this right around 12:20, and then 12:25 over towards Anderson, 12:29 Union Township. In fact, I think I'm going to adjust this real quick because I don't think this is right. I'm going to increase the speeds a little bit because this is we're looking at a kind of a fast clip moving snow shower here. So, and we're talking about the snow showers that are going to reduce visibility. There's a lot of light activity, but with this particular band here in Hamilton County, it is moving at a good clip. So, okay, I think this is a bit more accurate. There we go. This is what I was expecting. So 12:08 Cincinnati. So we'll see that here in the next 5 minutes or so. Covington a little after 12:10. Fort Thomas, Kentucky, so right around 12:20. By 12:22 over towards Anderson Township there in eastern Hamilton County towards Cherry Fork, over towards Beachmont Avenue, and then over towards the Mount Washington community. And by 12:27, Alexandria there in central portions of Campbell County. They're right along US 27. So this is one of those cells that are producing a good clip of snow shower activity. We'll go ahead and play this for the last hour, that we can kind of see the general direction and kind of trend of these snow showers here. So do note that we do have some moderate bands of snow shower activity also towards southern Highland County, northern Adams County, which I'm sure my dad's probably enjoying that, finally getting some more moisture in some of the soil there. We also got some clips of maybe some moderate snow shower activity in northern portions of Owen County and to far western Grant County. Again, all of this activity is moving to the south and east. It's all coming from the north and west. It's all part of a low pressure system. This is a pretty strong low pressure system too. That's up towards Michigan and even north of that. But what we're watching is this. So what we're seeing right now is relatively isolated in terms of coverage. However, this afternoon and this evening, this right here, a bit more widespread, and the estimated time of arrival with this looks to be between 3 and 4 o'clock for our northwestern counties. So if you're in Fayette, Decatur, Franklin counties, you might see this as early as 3 o'clock. Cincinnati closer to 4 o'clock. And why is that a problem? It's because everyone's getting off of school and work roughly around that time. So traffic is not going to fare well with this. Even if it's not going to stick on the roadways entirely, it's going to melt for the most part. However, in a band of moderate snow, it could easily kind of accumulate and become slushy on the roadways. The road temperatures are just too warm right now for it to actually stick for a long period of time or create a lot of slick issues. But certainly wet roads and certainly reduced visibility, issues, two of which can easily create travel troubles. And I don't see where Catherine or Frank had any totals so far this morning. But let me know in the comments if you're watching us on Facebook. Let me know if you've seen any snow accumulations in your neck of the woods and roughly how much it is. Measuring the grass is not ideal in this situation, primarily because of the fact that the ground is warm and some of it might be melting. And not to mention, when people typically measure snow on the grass, they include all of the grass, and you can't do that because between the actual ground and where the snow is sticking on the top layer of the grass, you got the area in between that there's no snow, it's just grass, and people tend to include that when that's not the case. Elevated surface like a deck is a good option, or a snowboard. You can get a piece of plywood, lay it in the yard, although it's too late now, unless you want to measure the snow that's coming through this evening. But those are the two best methods in this case to measure snow. So let me know what you got in the comments. We'll check those out here in a little bit. But right now it is 34 degrees here in Cincinnati. The high temperature, not much more than what you're going to see. Because once this graphic loads, you will see that today's high is only 36 degrees. Man, this graphic is taking a while to load. There we go. So today's high is only 36 degrees, well below normal for this time of the year. Our average high is usually 51. Although we are seeing scattered snow showers right now, the better opportunities for widespread activity will be this evening moving in. So we've got this quote-unquote lull in activity here in the tri-state. And right now, temperatures, it's not just Cincinnati that's obviously cold. Everyone else is cold. We even have 20s showing up now. Again, this is northwesterly flow, so colder air is digging into the tri-state. We've got 35 in Hamilton, 32 in Wilmington and in Lebanon, 33 in Batavia, 34 at the Lunken Airport, 32 in Falmouth and in Harrison. CVG now down to 32. It was 34 a moment ago, but now it's updated to 32. And Batesville is just at 28 degrees. The winds, though, are the real factor. It gives you the feels-like temperature to be much colder. So right now, you've got winds sustained anywhere from 10 to 25 miles per hour. Now, you factor that in, you'll get a wind chill much colder. We'll show you that here in just a second. But I do want to show you wind gusts. So wind gusts are close to 40 miles per hour at CVG. That is associated with that band of moderate snow shower activity. So as that moves down to the south and east, so let's say you live in Independence or Falmouth, Alexandria, over towards Batavia, New Richmond, Claryville, Brooksville, Mount Olivet. Those areas are going to be in the impact over the next couple of hours. And not only going to see those snow showers, but you're also going to see reduced visibility and those strong gusty winds. But let's get to the part that kind of stinks in this scenario. You factor in these winds, and wind chills or feels like temperatures are only in the teens and low 20s. So that's why I mentioned at the top of this, very important to wear something that's going to keep you warm. I'm going to have that maybe on when I'm in the Toyota Storm Tracker, though I'm sure we'll have the heater on blast. But if I have to go outside, I will certainly put that on. But 18 degrees is what it feels like right now up in Batesville. 16 up in Richmond, Indiana. That's just north of the viewing area, north of Union County. And then 19, the feels like temperature at CVG. So a cold afternoon. It's not going to change much. But at this point, I'm going to take a pause. We'll look at the Facebook comments. Then we'll look at the forecast models, showing you that second band arrival time and what to expect with snowfall amounts, including what will melt in just a moment. All right, got a few comments here on the Fox 19 Facebook page. I'll also be checking my Facebook page at Ethan Emery WX here in just a second. But Susan says good afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Beautiful day in Ohio. Absolutely. This is kind of, these days happen in November in Ohio. So this should be to no one's surprise. Though I think any day you get snow, there's always someone who's surprised. Not me. I enjoy the snow. Molly says, hello, Ethan, from Pleasant Plain, Ohio. We had a little band come through. The snow is so pretty. It is. When I left Milford a little bit ago, there was a good band coming through. And then when I drive on 50. I try to not go on the interstates and avoid the chaos when I can. But when I was on 50, I noticed when I went into Marymount, all the snow was gone. That's just because the ground, the roads are just so warm. And though these bands are allowing snow to stick briefly on vehicles, elevated surfaces like trees and power lines, and you get a good enough band, even the road briefly. However, in grassy surfaces, not sure if I mentioned that or not, but it will stick to that briefly. But with the temperatures at the ground still well above freezing, it's going to eventually melt. And not to mention, too, one thing to add, is that you still have some solar radiation coming through the clouds, and that does help a little bit with melting. Not much, but it does help a little bit in that regard. But yeah, it does look pretty. Darla says, good afternoon, Ethan. Good afternoon to you as well. Susan says, grass and trees covered in Blanchester. Not surprised. These bands are moving through everywhere in the Tri-State earlier this morning. Molly says, pretty good amount. Haven't measured yet. It started covering the back roads. I did notice that on some of the photos I've received on my Facebook page that I saw in Lynchburg. I saw, well, now it sounds like over towards Pleasant Plain. A lot of rural areas especially, looking at some of the roads getting partially covered. Eric says, hi, Ethan. Crazy weather. I was fishing yesterday and freezing today. Yeah. A little too early to talk about ice fishing, but weather like this certainly makes it feel like it. Although I'm sure if you try to fish today, you probably won't get much because all the fish are probably at the bottom where it's warm. Robin says, I'm currently visiting Paris, I'm assuming Paris, Kentucky, and having similar weather here. Sounds like it'll be a smooth transition when heading home. Yeah, be careful, be safe on the roadways. I'm not going to use the cliche, pack your patience, but definitely be patient on the roadways. You're going to slow down. When those bands of snow move through and reduce visibility, I know some folks out there who drive a little aggressively. They want to get home as fast as possible. In this kind of weather, you can't. It's just not going to happen. And there are people out there who are responsible and they're going to take their time and be a little bit slow. Make sure you're patient with them because some people don't feel as comfortable or as safe behind the wheel when you have conditions like this. And you know, you got to account for that when you're on the roadways. But thanks, Robin, for the report down in Paris, Kentucky. Jennifer says, hello from Alexandria. Had some steady snow earlier, I bet. There's a lot of areas that had those bands that were some steady snow showers earlier. Garnett says, good afternoon, Ethan. Good day to stay in and bake cookies. Yes, Garnett. It sounds lovely. David, do you think parents need to plan for a snow day tomorrow for school closers? I would say at the time, no. Though we might see an additional inch or so of snow come down with that secondary band, I think it's going to end early enough to where, A, the road temperatures and ground temperatures are still pretty warm for a lot of it to melt, and B, there's plenty of time for road crews to take action. Now, rural areas that might get a little bit colder, have a lot of bridges, the potential for a delay, can't rule that out, but I don't suspect closures at this time. That's a little too early to call for the moment. And I don't want to speak for the schools because sometimes schools can be a little bullheaded when it comes to issuing delays or closures. Kayla says, hello from Cincinnati. I know this is off topic, but the update on the 7-year-old. We did have a Facebook Live a moment ago, Kayla. You can go back to that Facebook Live. It's no longer live. We had a presser from, I believe it was Westchester Police. You can check there. Of course, fox19.com is going to also have updates on that too. Look at my Facebook page real quick. I know I'm running a little bit out of time here because we got folks asking questions, and of course I always appreciate that. Okay, got a few comments on my Facebook page. Steve says Grapple and Madisonville. So the temperatures are actually rising a little bit enough to where you do have that snowflake partially melting and refreezing. Grapple's a little bit of a complicated thing, but thanks, Steve, for the report. Brandon says, very nice, more than a dusting here in Hillsborough. Certainly, like I said, some of these snow bands have come down at a good enough clip to where the roadways have been partially covered or fully covered in the example I had seen earlier in Lynchburg. So, yeah. So, certainly a pleasant surprise, or treat rather, for us here this afternoon to see more snow. And speaking of which, Nathan says, why are there winter weather advisories being issued for this evening's round of snow? This is the second round of snow. As I was mentioning a moment ago, this is, oops, there we go. This is more widespread snow coming in this afternoon and this evening. Well, I thought they'd put a amount on there, but we're going to have some accumulating snow this evening into tonight. So after, I would say 3 o'clock, I think that band's moving in a little bit ahead of schedule. So if you're in Fayette or Decatur County, you might begin to see that band as early as 3 p.m. Between 3 and 4, I think it's going to encompass much of southeast Indiana, and then by Cincinnati, close to 4 o'clock. So that's what we have there. I do want to take a look now at our snowfall accumulation map. Ooh, okay, it's because of the time. Let's go a little bit forward with time. Okay, so we might need to disregard some of those numbers, but we go ahead and we'll go forward. So the next couple of hours, up till 4 o'clock roughly, we might see an additional 1/10 to a 1/2 inch with these bursts of snow showers. But then we go into this evening and tonight, we will see perhaps an additional 1/2 inch or more. And some of those moderate bands, I wouldn't be surprised to see close to an inch. So wherever that band tracks, and right now it looks like it will track potentially through our western half of the Fox 19 Now viewing area. So I would say what we've already seen, a lot of it's going to be melting, but we still have some sticking on some of those elevated surfaces. But that secondary round is going to produce some additional minor accumulations. So this model is doing a decent job at kind of indicating where some of those bands are. It's a little off in the placement, but it does indicate where some of those bands are. I mentioned Owen and Grant counties. I mentioned Highland and Adams counties. The model's showing that. It's just not showing all of them. But we can give it the credit where it's due. So this is at noon on this forecast model. There's that secondary band between 3 and 4 o'clock. Even this model is picking up on the timing being a little bit ahead of schedule. So again, 3 o'clock roughly, I think it'll be towards Connorsville, perhaps towards Batesville and Greensburg, and around 4 o'clock, it'll be close to Cincinnati downtown. We go forward in time here. We go into 6 o'clock, still a widespread band of snow, some of which will be moderate. Even a little pocket of heavy snow, can't rule that out. But do know a lot of roadways are still very warm. In fact, ground temperatures, surface temperatures are in the 40s. I think I even saw 50s. So still enough to where the snow will likely melt either immediately on impact or just after. But keep in mind some of these bands of moderate to heavy snow could allow it to be a slushy accumulation on the roadways for a short duration of time. And that's another factor as to why we need to be patient on the roadways this afternoon. So if, let's say you're at home today, if you're watching us right now on Facebook, but you know that your daughter, your son, grandkids, cousin, whoever, friend even, they're going to be driving this afternoon, just send them a text. Say, hey, thinking of you. Make sure that you are driving safe today, this afternoon. Let me know when you get home. Little things like that, for one thing, shows you appreciate them, but two, it allows them to kind of have that in mind when they go home, not rush so much. But this is this evening. So prime time, everyone's getting home from work or school, rush hour, you still got that widespread snow. It continues. Let me see if I can make sure I'm not blocking the camera or blocking the view. So yeah, you can still see behind me a lot of moderate bands of snow, widespread, mind you, this evening. We go into tonight, so around midnight, we might begin to see a rain-snow mix in this scenario. So we go into late tonight, we could be looking at a little bit of a rain-snow mix. And sometimes in this, you can sometimes get a band of moderate to heavy snow, even some graupel, as Steve mentioned on the Facebook comments. But we are going to be monitoring that here late tonight into early Friday morning. So again, I do think we're going to see an additional ½ inch to an inch of accumulations, some of which will melt in some places, while others might have it stick, depending on what your temperature is this afternoon. And when I say stick, I mean on grassy surfaces, not on the roadways for a long period of time. A buddy of mine sending me a text. I want to check that real quick. Good friend of mine from high school, Zach. Shout out to you, Zach. Looks like a winter wonderland in Hillsborough. I tried to point at the camera, but I think the focus would go off. Not on the roads, but definitely looks to be about an inch on the deck there. Thanks, Zach. Much appreciated, man. All right, let's go to my Facebook page real quick to make sure I don't miss anything there. But yeah, I think that most of the snow activity will be over before Friday morning sunrise. So to echo what someone had mentioned about snow delays or closings for schools, I don't see it. I think at best maybe a rural school that has a lot of hills or valleys or bridges might have a delay at best if they do see that burst of snow come down. Let's see, I have more comments now. Good thing I caught that. Thanks, Cindy, for being blunt. Hello, Ethan. Steve also adding Midway Airport, heavy snow, and a quarter-mile visibility. Yeah, so that's heading our way. Thanks, Zach, commenting there. Okay, so now we've got to move on here because Friday people might be asking about tomorrow's forecast. The good news is tomorrow does look a lot more dry, but it's going to be cloudy, it's going to be chilly, and we could be looking at maybe some areas of drizzle, maybe a flurry mixed in with that, maybe even some graupel. Those kind of balls of it looks like a pellet / snowflake. That's what graupel is. But we might see that a little bit on Friday afternoon. Otherwise, Friday is going to be cloudy, dreary, and chilly here across the tri-state. And speaking of the winds we said earlier, that's going to reduce visibility. Let's look at some of those wind gusts we can expect this afternoon. We already have wind gusts at 37 miles per hour at CVG. With these bands of snow, that will easily reduce visibility to less than a mile. As Steve mentioned, up in Midway, at the airport up in Midway, that is a quarter-mile visibility. So we could see that here in the tri-state this afternoon. So this afternoon and evening, wind gusts begin to die down a little bit, but still breezy enough to where when those bands of snow move through, it will reduce visibility. We continue going into Friday morning. Friday morning, still a little breezy out there. Gusts could get close to 20 miles per hour. Friday afternoon, gusts around 30, 35 miles per hour. So we're going to keep things breezy. I would say today is windy, but tonight and tomorrow look breezy before the winds do calm down for the weekend. I want to look one more thing, the visibility map, and then I want to show you the 7-day forecast, and then we have to log off, unfortunately, because we've got to get some stuff planned and prepped for now the Natty, and I also got to get prepped for going on the road for the Toyota Storm Tracker, checking the road conditions and letting folks know how traffic is. And I'm sure it's going to be kind of a headache for some. So we go into this afternoon. You can see here some of those little bands of isolated snow showers that are moving through right now will reduce visibility. Look at this. The model's doing a pretty good job showing just the drastic change between where these bands of snow are and where it's not. So visibility could be less than a mile at times in these bands of isolated snow showers. But then after 3 o'clock, there's that more of the widespread band of snow. And look at this. This is around 4:30. Visibility down about a mile in Cincinnati. We go into 5 o'clock. So folks are asking about Pleasant Plain, Lynchburg, Fayetteville, Mount Orab, Lebanon, Mason, Waynesville. I'm just giving you a list of locations I know off the top of my head. Claryville, down over towards Falmouth, Dry Ridge, Williamstown, and Versailles even. Looking at a lot of widespread snow showers, and with these gusty winds, visibility will be reduced. We go into 6, 7 o'clock. Still, same thing. Some areas, visibility will be improved when you're not in a snow shower, but when you're in a snow shower, drastically reduced visibility. The good news is that we go into tonight. Well, I guess not so good news. When that band, the last of the band moves through, note, visibility still is not going to be great. But eventually drier air, this is what I was wanting to show you. After midnight, you can begin to see conditions do improve by the Friday morning drive. Now that being said, Friday, again, I said cloudy, kind of drizzly, could have some perhaps bands of flurries mixed in with the drizzle or grapple, and that could create some reduced visibilities, but nowhere near the extent of what we expect here this afternoon or this evening. Okay, it's 12:27. I've been talking way too long. Let's show you the 7-day forecast, and then we've got to go, unfortunately, here. So this is the 7-day forecast. So the next 7 days, we are looking at temperatures. Again, a light mix for your Friday, high of only 43 degrees. The weekend's dry, and temperatures will be warming up on Saturday to 47, Sunday 53. And then by next week, we are looking at some scattered showers on Monday, a high of 58. And then looking at a mix of sun and clouds for Tuesday and Wednesday. Temperatures will cool down then into the 40s for highs, which is closer to normal for this time of the year. So that is the 7-day forecast. This has been 19 at noon. I will try to look back at the comments with my Facebook page and try to respond to them there, but I can't respond to them now because I just don't have the time, unfortunately. But beginning at 3 o'clock, of course, we got your coverage. Meteorologist Catherine Bodak and Chief Meteorologist Steve Horsemeyer will be monitoring the snow showers. I'll be monitoring the roads and the Toyota Storm Tracker. We have all that beginning at 3 o'clock, at least until 7 p.m., giving you all the latest news, weather, sports headlines right here on Fox 19. With that being said, thank you so much for joining us here on this Thursday edition of our 19 at noon. Enjoy the chilly afternoon. Be safe on the roadways, and hopefully you can find some positivity with the snow moving in. If you don't like it, the good news is at least temperatures will warm up heading into this weekend. Have a great afternoon.